only time they really feel that they have to assert their choice.
So whether one Modi or 10 Modi comes to power, it will make no difference.
Muslim in Bengal, they are not doing alternative politics, they are with the common politics.
हम जब मोदी की बात करते हैं तो मुसलमान की बात नहीं करते.
A change slowly creeping in. A community tagged as vote bank wants to shed that image and assert itself politically. This 13% population is increasingly more aware of the electoral power it yields. It now knows it can be a deciding factor. There is a sizable Muslim population in states like West Bengal, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Bihar and Kerala. In about 46 constituencies out of 543 Lok Sabha seats, there are about 30% Muslims. This community can influence about 110 seats. It is this realization that has given the community a newfound confidence about its political relevance, even though certain issues remain very real, like low levels of political representation, low levels of education, and the issue of security. Over the next 2 episodes, from north to south and east to west, we'll tell you what's inside the Muslim mind. We start our journey from the national capital, Delhi, the seat of power. 3 out of 7 Lok Sabha constituencies in Delhi have a sizable Muslim population: Chandni Chowk, East Delhi and Northeast Delhi. Winning over their hearts and minds is crucial for the candidates, both old and new. And as the candidates woo the community again, it is putting to them some questions and demanding answers. It wants to know why, for some, their name plays a crucial role in their destiny.
अब तो दरस दिखला दो निजामुद्दीन औलिया अब तो दरस दिखला दो निजामुद्दीन औलिया अब तो दरस दिखला दो निजामुद्दीन औलिया अब तो
Now in his 30s, Muhammad Amir from Old Delhi was picked up by plainclothes policemen in 1998. He was all of 18 years old at that time. He was accused of executing 20 low-intensity bomb attacks in Delhi, Sonipat, Rohtak and Ghaziabad between December 1996 and October 1997. He was labelled a terrorist. 14 years later, the many cases against Amir fell flat. None of the false charges could be proved in court. He is now free, yet a bitter man.
देखिए 14 साल में जो खोया है, अगर कोई कंपनसेशन भी मिले या कोई मुआवजा वगैरह भी मिले तो भी उसको पूरा नहीं किया जा सकता है। मेरे फादर को जो ज़ख़म और दर्द और रंज दुख मिले, तकलीफ़ें मिली मेरी फैमिली को, मेरे वो उसकी कोई कीमत नहीं है। मेरे पापा दोबारा नहीं लौट के आ सकते, मेरी मम्मी की सेहत वापस नहीं लौट कर आ सकती।
And there's more. Prejudice at a very basic level. One that stares in the face of even those who would never imagine having to face it. Meet Professor Rizwan Qaisar, a teacher in the Department of History in Jamia Millia Islamia. He came in for a rude shock when he was refused an accommodation in places like Saqet and Munirka in Delhi. He soon realized that the problem was his name. He finally settled for a Muslim locality in Delhi.
Somehow or the other you feel it in your bones that they are saying no to you on grounds other than, you know, the technical requirements of somebody being a good tenant, an educated person, more so as educated as I am, I'm being a university teacher. And that is where you realize that you lose out on a lot of opportunities in sharing common spaces and therefore also letting each other have a peep into the kind of cultural worldview, the social milieu and the larger things.
In election season, candidates and incumbent MPs admit prejudices need to go and make promises once again.
People basically come to me because of the fact that many Muslim boys are picked up sometimes by the police and all kinds of charges are framed against them. This happened just the other day, and I raised my voice. And I think it's time for us to really talk about the level of prejudice that's existing within the police forces in this country. No, if I am elected an MP, if I am in government, I will certainly take very strong measures.
Prejudices often breed misunderstanding and hatred, sometimes a fertile ground for politics in India. Just 200 kilometers away from Delhi, across into the state of Uttar Pradesh, the district of Muzaffarnagar burnt in communal riots in September last year. The motive, as many suspect and allege, to polarize votes in sensitive western UP.
Whatever is happening in UP now is a fight between the BJP and the Samajwadi Party. One is trying to woo the minority vote, the other the majority vote, and they both feel that a division, or you could say polarization, amongst Hindus and Muslims would benefit them both. So they are the two sides of the same coin.
The BJP has nominated Bhartendu Singh from Bijnor, Sanjeev Balayan from Muzaffarnagar, and Hukum Singh from Kairana constituencies, all accused of inciting passions. BSP MLA Qadir Rana from Muzaffarnagar, BKU leader and RLD candidate Chaudhry Rakesh Tikait from Amroha Lok Sabha seat are facing charges of inciting communal tension here by making inflammatory speeches. When Headlines Today spoke with Hukum Singh during the riots, here's what he said in his defense.
बार बार चुनौती दी है कि कोई कैसेट इनके पास में होगी, अदालत में जो पेश करेंगे, हिंदुस्तान की जनता के सामने उस कैसेट को पेश कर दें, सीडी को पेश कर दें और हमारा एक शब्द ही बता दें जो दंगा भड़काने वाला हो.
But today, the same man has pledged to not allow those, mostly Muslims, languishing in camps to vote.
The riots in Muzaffarnagar are going to hit Samajwadi and teach them a lesson for life. It was their negligence that caused those riots.
But the Muslims had a sense of comfort that under Akhilesh's regime, they will be sensitive to their aspirations. The kind of statements made by SP leaders, by Mulayam Singh Yadav himself, of saying that there are no refugees in the camp, that has a telling blow.
The Muzaffarnagar riots have found a political resonance in Uttar Pradesh ahead of the general elections. Many admit that the Muzaffarnagar incident, coupled with 26 other cases of communal disharmony reported under the Samajwadi Party regime, have the potential to influence voters. Not only do communal riots severely dent the sense of security of the minority community, but also have a direct and damaging effect on their livelihood. In Lucknow, that largely remains peaceful, even in the burst of communal tensions, there are pockets that flare up. Like this one, Maulviganj. We meet 40-year-old Safia. With 4 daughters and a son, the husband's income as a tailor is not enough. Safia, like many other Muslim women living on the economic fringes of the society, has taken up chicken curry, an intricate embroidery associated with Lucknowi culture. Safia says communal tension hits them hard as work stops coming. She also rues the paltry amount she makes for her hard work.
हम लोग कभी पूछे ख्याल होए तो हमें भी पूछें क्या हाल है क्या नहीं हम लोग के बारे में कोई सोचता है कुछ नहीं सोचता कोई.
Safia's children are all school dropouts as they cannot afford an education with their meager income. And while some have been educationally restricted, others look for a way out. Abdul Samad is a class 1 student at a madarsa in Lucknow. A free madarsa education is all his father, who's a tailor, can afford. It is the same story with 5-year-old Uruj. She studies in the same madarsa.
कुछ ऐसे भी घराने होते, कुछ ऐसे गार्जियन भी होते हैं कि उनको पैसे की कमी की वजह से या महंगाई की वजह से वो बच्चों को तालीम की वजह से जो महरूम रह जाते हैं.
The economic backwardness of the community, as proven by the Satchar Committee report, has had the most startling effect on the levels of education. And even though there might be an ongoing debate over the modernization of the madarsa system of education, They have sprung up in large numbers, especially in North India, because of the lack of inclusive public education institutions in Muslim pockets. At a time when the community feels the acute need to be at par with the others, it is articulating like never before the need for better education opportunities.
I asked the scooter driver if he happened to be a Muslim, are you sending your child to school? He said, school kya bhejna hai? Kaun naukri dega usko? So there was this feeling that you wouldn't get a job in any case, so what's the use of education? Now the feeling is that whether you get a job in government, and that is still a problem. But they've come to the realization that if they can be educated, then they can do many things on their own.
Many also believe that the need of the hour is greater representation in parliament to be able to push for the welfare of the community. It is for this reason that community leaders feel it is important for Muslims to vote as one.
मुसलमानों की प्रॉब्लम्स या शिया जो सुन्नी एक हैं प्रॉब्लम्स शिया सुन्नी मिलकर और यूनाइट होकर वो वोट डालें.
During election, Muslims vote as a Muslim community also. They do not vote on the basis of you can say a sect feeling.
In the past, it was believed that religious heads sitting in Lucknow, Deoband and Bareilly influenced the Muslim voting pattern in the state. But many now say that these religious heads may be revered and looked up to, but the Muslim voter ultimately decides on the best bet rather tactically. But is it the same in other states as well? Let's make our way to West Bengal to find that out.
আমরা ইমামদেরকে অন্তর দিয়ে মানি এই পশ্চিম বাংলার মসজিদের ইমামদেরকে নিয়ে উনি ছেলেখেলামি করছে যখন প্রয়োজন হচ্ছে ইমামদেরকে ভাতা দিচ্ছে আর যখন প্রয়োজন মিটে যাচ্ছে ইমামদেরকে সরিয়ে দিচ্ছে আজকে আমি আপনাদেরকে বলতে চাই মুসলমানদের মাথার মণি মুসলমানদের মাথা হলো মসজিদের ইমাম
Voices of dissent over Mamata's controversial decision to give monthly stipend to Muslim clerics. Voices from within the Muslim community itself. Once seen as a blatant act to muster their support, this single government decision seems to have turned against the Bengal Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee.
Giving some bhata to the imams or muezzins or doing munajat in the pilgrimage or Hajj will not help the Muslims.
There is a growing sense that the mainstream political parties have failed the Muslim community and that the much-hyped Paribartan has not brought much change to their status in Bengal.
It is a fact that the Muslim communities in the state have understood that the left parties led by the CPM were not very good, but the Trinamool is worse than them.
This election, every political party wants a share of the Muslim vote pie as the minority community in West Bengal emerge as a potent political force like never before. The strategy is clear: woo the Muslim voters. Ever since she came to power, Mamata Banerjee has tried hard to consolidate her Muslim vote bank, announcing a slew of decisions aimed specifically at their electoral support.
Monthly honorarium of 2,500 rupees to 30,000 rupees to the imams. This has been challenged in court. Monthly stipend of 1,500 rupees to muezzins across the state. The government cleared 17% reservation to OBCs in government jobs. A majority of the groups listed in the category are Muslims. Mamata claims 90% of the state's Muslim population has been covered under this. Distribution of bicycles to all girl students in madrasas.
और ये बात हम औरों बातों में बोलता है कोई चीज़ होता है माइनॉरिटीज़ में कितना हज टावर बनाया कितना आलिया यूनिवर्सिटी बनाया कितना हम बेरियल ग्राउंड बनाया कितना मुअज्जम इसके लिए इमाम के लिए काम किया हम कितना स्कॉलरशिप दिया कितना साइकिल दिया कितना गीतांजलि दिया हर बात हम बता सकते हैं
Mamata may be articulating her government's achievements in minority development, but many say Muslims have now called her bluff. It's not SOPs but education and jobs that they are demanding.
जो लोगों ने आशा और भरोसा किया ममता बनर्जी पर कि ममता बनर्जी हमको नौकरी देगी और हमारे डिमांड को पूरा करेंगे, लेकिन घुमा फिरा कर दूसरी तरफ ममता बनर्जी ने अपना पोलराइजेशन को शुरू किया.
Muslims constitute around 30% of the Bengal population and will determine the fate of a large number of seats in 13 out of 19 districts having more than 20% Muslim population. There's a growing sense that the time has come for Muslims to assert themselves politically. Former Bengal Land Minister Abdul Razzaq Molla, who was recently expelled from the party for airing his views about the dominance of the high class within the left leadership, doesn't mince words in accepting the failure of mainstream parties.
Not only they failed to aspirate of the Muslim, they failed to appreciation of the downtrodden people as a whole.
Some also say it is the Muslim religious leaders who are equally to be blamed for their lack of progress.
He is projected by some political party for serving their interest. He is not the leader of the Muslims.
Mamata has been no different than any of the other canny politicians in dealing with the clerics, giving in to each of their whims, fearing the defiance may irk the vote bank. Thus, the Shahi Imam of Bengal continues to be a prominent feature in each of Mamata's mega rallies, often dictating her political approach.
ममता बनर्जी के बारे में ये मैं समझता हूँ कि वो एक बहुत ही सेकुलर लीडर है और बहुत स्ट्रगल करके आई हैं। वो अकेला अगर चाहेंगी तो हवा के रुख को मोड़ सकती हैं।
It is perhaps due to this combined failure of the mainstream parties as well as the religious leaders that for the first time Bengal is witnessing the emergence of identity politics, with a host of smaller Muslim parties getting into the political fray with an aim to consolidate its vote. Parties like WPI, the Welfare Party of India, AIUDF, All India United Democratic Front, SDPI, Social Democratic Party of India have all fielded candidates in several districts and talks are underway to form an alliance of sorts. In fact, the Jangipur by-election results of 2012 do show that these Muslim parties might play a pivotal role this time. President Pranab Mukherjee's son Abhijit Mukherjee scrapped through in Jangipur by merely 2,500 votes as the combination of SDPI and WPI ate out a major chunk of the minority vote in a seat his father won with over 1 lakh margin in 2009.
একটা শক্তিশালী পলিটিক্যাল পার্টি বিশেষ করে যে পাওয়ারে এসছে সেই মুসলিমদেরকে পোলারাইজ করছে।
कोई तृणमूल कहता था हम जीत जाएंगे, सीपीएम कहता था हम जीत जाएंगे, लेकिन अब वो अपने सीने में हाथ रखकर ये बता नहीं सकते हम जीतेंगे।
This is for the first time that Bengal will see a four-cornered fight between the Trinamool, Left, Congress and BJP. Given the fragmented electorate, the Muslim vote will be a deciding factor in a majority of seats. On the face of it, the Trinamool may sound confident, but Mamata is on a desperate course correction mode after her Anna misadventure, which even a section of her party agrees has irked the Muslim community. Therefore, it is no surprise as we near the poll dates, Didi's anti-Modi rhetoric is only gaining more pitch. While identity politics takes shape in the east of India, we head to the north. In sharp contrast to the rest of the country, Jammu and Kashmir is a Muslim majority state. So how different are their issues ahead of elections?
But when you talk in the context of the Kashmir issue, elections have a completely different meaning. Because the way in which these elections have been projected, either for the assembly or for the parliament, that they are being projected as a substitute to the right of self-determination or to the right of the people to decide their future. And if the people vote for even Sadak Bijli Pani or for the parliament, it is seen that people have voted for the Indian rule in Kashmir.
I don't think that generally the people of Kashmir and especially the youth do feel that much of connected to the electoral process. And if you look at the educated youth of Kashmir, I think there is more alienation than it has been before.
When 67 young Kashmiri boys were slapped with sedition charges, which were later revoked for cheering the performance of a Pakistani cricketer in February, this concern cropped up. The university's hasty decision to pack them off from the hostels and send them back to Kashmir also added to the sentiment expressed by one Kashmiri.
There has to be a mental revolution wherein Kashmiris are taken as a part of the mainstream. They are not actually looked upon as criminals or the people, completely different from them.
For many Kashmiri young boys, Meerut incident only went on to cement their fear about stereotype against Kashmiri Muslims outside the valley. For many, this was a reminder of the kind of discrimination that they had faced while looking out for rented houses in places like Delhi and Bombay. And for those students who came back from the Meerut University, the fear was such that even after the issue being resolved, many of them have chosen to stay back.
The case of Liaquat Shah's arrest also fueled suspicion and doubt about the motives of security agencies. The 45-year-old was arrested by Delhi police on what turned out to be false charges.
1200-1300 से ज़्यादा लोगों को मैंने देखा कि जो बिला वजह उनको जनाबली उनके साथ ज्यादतियां की जा चुकी हैं.
So many in Kashmir question the motive of elections when they continue to battle prejudice. Ahead of elections in the valley, what echoes is the need for better understanding. And this makes the electoral process even more vital in what used to be this paradise on earth.